Growing up in the sport of gymnastics, young girls aspire to friendships, trophies, and meeting Olympic legends. They've learned to tumble, flip, and fly through the air. Now, they're in the Big 12, aiming for both individual and team titles. Janet Anson, Adrienne Perry, Emily Parsons, and Brittany Konchak-Schumann will try to lead their schools to a Big 12 title. Next on FSN.
We're in the heart of Tiger Country, Columbia, Missouri, the Hearn Center, where the best in Big 12 gymnastics. The Big 12 championships at stake tonight as the 4 women's gymnastics team have converged on Columbia, Missouri. And welcome to the Hearn Center. Bill Jones along with John Roethlisberger. The 4 Big 12 teams are here. They're all ranked in the top 20 in the country. 2 of them ranked in the top 10 in the country.
And once again, the Big 12 is stacked. They have some great teams at the top. The top 2 teams being Nebraska and Oklahoma. Nebraska at number 7 and Oklahoma right behind them at number 10.
In the last 3 years, we've had 3 different teams take home the championship here. And we want to talk about the defending all-around champion right off the top, though, because Oklahoma features a good one in Brittany Konchak-Schumann.
And Brittany has got the whole package. She has got power, she's got grace, she's got poise, and she's got leadership. She certainly will be the one to watch and the one to beat tonight as she tries to defend that title. But with all due respect to her, she's not the biggest story in Sooner Country. There's a new sheriff in town, and that sheriff is KJ Kindler. Steve Nuno is out. KJ comes over from Iowa State, where she has had a lot of success. The question is, can she bring that success to Oklahoma?
And battling for that all-around championship as well as other event titles tonight from Nebraska, Emily Parsons.
And Emily Parsons has really come into her own this year. She is ranked in the top 3 on 3 different individual events. But the thing about Nebraska is she does not have to carry the whole team. They have got a lot of big dogs, a lot of kids that can put up big points. So they're the team to beat tonight.
KJ Kindler led Iowa State to the Big 12 title last year, and Iowa State lost some key performers, but they got one really good one coming back in Janet Anson.
Janet Anson really is also got the complete package. She, without a doubt, is the leader of the Iowa State Cyclones, and Coach Jay Ronayne will look heavily to her to be that leader, because behind her is a very young team, a lot of sophomores and a lot of freshmen.
And how about here in Columbia, Missouri, they look to Adrienne Perry.
And Adrienne Perry, again, an outstanding all-arounder, will be in contention for that title, and her coach, Rob Drass, is hoping that the home court advantage and Adrienne Perry are enough to bring them their first ever Big 12 championship.
And to kick things off, let's review the format of tonight's meet, John.
Well, there are 4 rotations, and each team will take their turn on each piece of equipment, on each apparatus, on the floor, the vault, the uneven bars, and the balance beam. And each team will put up 6 competitors on each event, with the top 5 scores counting for a total combined team score.
And the first rotation will have the Missouri Tigers on the vault, while Nebraska will be on the uneven bars, Iowa State on the balance beam, and the Oklahoma Sooners will start with floor exercise. And it's Emily Parsons. What a year she has had for Nebraska. Ranked in the top 3 in the country in the other 3 apparatus, but she starts on uneven bars here.
And if she has a weakness, this is it, the uneven bars. And that's why she's the first athlete up for Nebraska. She is actually historically the weakest scorer on this event. So they're putting her up first. And ironically enough, even though she's first up, she's one of the top all-arounders in the competition tonight.
She did not compete in the bars competitions early in the season. About mid-season, she started performing in bars. 5'2" junior from St. Charles, Missouri.
And so far, this is a very good routine. She had a big release move earlier called a reverse hex. And you'll see the difference once some of the other girls go up between her and the top girls. But that was a great routine, a great start for Nebraska. You know, if she scores in that 9-8 area, it is going to be tough to take her out of the all-around competition.
Her career high is 9.85, and take another look at Emily Parsons on the dismount.
This is a toe on front with a half twist, usually an easy dismount to stick, and she does. Great start for Emily and the Cornhuskers.
The Iowa State Cyclones start off on the balance beam, and Jasmine Thompson, a 5'5" sophomore from McDonald, Ohio, is up for her first performance of the night.
And one thing I noticed about about this girl in practice yesterday is she is a lot of fun to watch. She has got a lot of personality when she competes. She's got a lot of smiling, and she's got great style in her gymnastics, and we'll see that in a moment on the balance beam.
Now, you've said in the past that if you had a preference, putting yourself in the position of these ladies here in the gymnastics meet, that balance beam may not be the one you would want to start off on?
I wouldn't want to do balance beam, period, but starting on balance beam is, in my opinion, the toughest place to start. And, you know, you'll talk to the head coach for Iowa State, Jay, and he'll tell you, he'll talk his team into saying it's the best place to start, of course, but you're nervous. The beginning of the meet always has the highest nerves, and it's tough to start on beam anytime, but especially at the beginning of a conference championship. And we saw a little wobble from Jasmine right there.
16-foot long beam. It's 4 foot high. It's 4 inches wide, just 4 inches wide.
And of all those measurements, the only one I would care about is the 4 inches wide.
Well, I'd care about the 4 feet high if I had trouble with the 4 inches wide.
Good point. Nice flip-flop layout, step out, and that's a requirement to have a 2-element acro series done very well. And Iowa State struggled with injuries a little bit this year. They actually lost probably their top beam routine, Ashley Kent, earlier this season. But they put it together late, and they've come on strong here at the end of the year. Beautiful full twist dismount, a good routine. She did have that kind of moderate wobble in the middle, which would be probably a 2 or 3/10 reduction, but not a bad routine from Jasmine.
In her first Big 12 meet, and Jasmine Thompson trying to come through for the Cyclones.
And there's another look at that layout step out, done very, very well. Most difficult element in her routine.
That's got to be a sigh of relief for a gymnast in her first conference meet to finally have that one out of the way, especially when it's the balance beam.
Definitely, and that's the beauty of it too, is if you go to beam first and you knock it out of the park, you're a step up on everybody else because you got it behind you. You can look forward to the rest of the event.
Uneven bars, and the Nebraska Cornhusker up next is Brittany Williams.
And Brittany's got some good big gymnastics in here. She does the same release move that we saw from Emily Parsons earlier, reverse hecht. And she's actually peaking at the right time too. She had her career high last weekend, 9.9, and that's exactly what the Nebraska Cornhuskers are going to ask for right here.
This is the only event that Brittany is competing in. She's coming off of ankle surgery. Normally she's a vaulter as well, and is also performing the floor exercise, but it's only on bars in this meet for Brittany Williams.
Very nice release move. So far this routine is about as good as she can do. Big dismount, double layout, small step on the landing, but so far Nebraska Cornhuskers are looking tough.
Dan Kindig, the head coach of the Nebraska Cornhuskers, 14 years in Lincoln, and has to like the way the Huskers are getting started here on bars.
Without a doubt. Taking another look at this dismount. 2 flips in the straight position. Plenty of amplitude. She spots the landing. I know she's going to kick herself with that small step because she could spot that landing from about 5 feet up, and she wanted that stick.
All right, on floor exercise, the Oklahoma Sooners and Haley DeProspero, the sophomore from McKinney, Texas.
Haley, even though she's young, has really shown a lot of poise for Oklahoma. Even last year, she came in as a freshman and did a great job for them, and has only built on that going into her sophomore year. Beautiful 2.5 twist, very good controlled landing. Her second pass is actually very difficult. Whip to immediate double pike. Unfortunately, a little trouble on that landing. It looked for a second like she was going to go right on her back, but managed to stay on her feet and minimize those deductions. You know, one thing that KJ had mentioned about the strength of this team this year is they've been very healthy. And they actually have a trainer that came over from the University of Georgia. And for those of you who know a lot about college women's gymnastics, Georgia is the dynasty and defending NCAA champions. And so it's been a big asset for them to have that trainer. She's been there, she's seen teams have success, and she's brought some of those things that she gave to Georgia. Most importantly, staying healthy.
Probably has a lot to do with them staying healthy. And DeProspero who is the daughter of a couple of Oklahoma Sooners. Her father, Bob, was an OU wrestler, and her mother, Dana, was an OU gymnast.
Very nice routine, and actually she dates another OU gymnast, so I guess it's a requirement in their family to date a Sooner. You know, she had a little trouble on one landing, but overall, very good routine for Haley. And this is the one where she had a little bit of trouble. Watch, a whip back layout, also to immediate double pike. And you can see she's back on her heels when she lands, but let me tell you, it's a big difference between falling backwards on the ground and staying on those feet. So that was great. She fought that landing so well.
All right, let's head back over to the uneven bars, and this is Kylie Stone, and we didn't talk about her at the outset of the show, but Kylie Stone is a contender in the all-around competition.
She definitely is, and look at that huge front catch, also called a Jaeger. You will not see anybody in this competition do it better than that. And she certainly is a dark horse to win the all-around. We didn't talk about her, but look at this bar team. Beautiful double front. Small step on the landing, and she is an accomplished international competitor, and you can see that poise come through.
Coming up from Columbia, more of rotation number 1. Sports Ultimate Highlight Show is here. The FSN Final Score. Every great highlight, every unforgettable moment, every night on FSN. It's the only national show that gives you nothing but wall-to-wall highlights. The FSN Final Score every night only on FSN. Check your local listings for the start time in your area. We continue here at the Big 12 meet. The first rotation in the Iowa State Cyclones are starting off on balance beam, and it's Ashley Alden, the senior from Park City, Illinois, who's next up.
And this routine is absolutely critical. Iowa State has already had a fall, so every mistake from that point will go right to the bottom line of their team score. So the pressure is on this senior, Ashley Alden, to hit this routine. And like we talked about before, beam is a tough place to start, but it's a great place to start if you can knock it out of the park. And right now, they are on the brink of a total disaster if any one of these last couple girls has any mistakes.
Jay Ronayne, in his first year as the head coach of the Iowa State Cyclones, spent the last 4 years at Auburn, a team that won the national championship in 2003, and before that, 14 years at West Virginia University. Here is Ashley Alden.
And not to throw the jinx at Ashley, but talking to Jay before the competition said, Ashley, quote, never misses. And she has actually just come back on beam late in the season from a foot injury. And that was... wow, that was close. Unfortunately, she didn't fall, but unfortunately that is still going to be a major deduction, which is too bad because that was a beautiful acro series. 2 flip-flops to a layout step out. Unfortunately, just a little bit off to the right on that landing.
But to underscore the confidence that Ronayne has in Alden was the fact that before she was out with that injury, she was ranked as high as number 8 in the nation here in balance beam.
Beautiful gainer layout step out. And it's a tough spot for Jay to be in because he comes into a program that's had a tremendous amount of success, and he has a lot to live up to. Cartwheel gainer layout full off the side. It was good for her to stay on, but unfortunately that's going to be a pretty large deduction. You can see on her face that she's not overly pleased with that performance. Take another look at the dismount. Cartwheel, gainer layout full, beautiful landing. She did minimize the deductions after that earlier mistake, but it's certainly going to cost her.
Tough start for the Cyclones. Back to floor exercise now, and here is your defending all-around champion, Brittany Konchak-Schumann.
And you can see why, on this event in particular, why she is the defending all-around champion. She starts with an amazing full in, back out, a lot of power, but then she lands and she shows the grace and beauty that a true champion has. Very nice front fold to lay out front.
Brittany was a second-team All-American last year at the NCAA meet, both floor exercise and all-around.
It was interesting last year because she didn't win any individual events at the Big 12 Championships, yet she did win the all-around, which just goes to show the strength she has across the board, because she doesn't necessarily have an event that really, really stands out, but she has no weaknesses either. Very clean, double tuck dismount. And again, she's a machine. She just knocks out those routines one after the other. And she's excited. Oklahoma looking good on floor exercise.
From McQueenie, Texas, she went to Alamo Heights High School, and she gets off to a big start trying to defend her crown in the all-around competition.
Here's her dismount again. Round up back handspring, double tuck. Knees a little bit apart in the air. Judges probably won't take a deduction for that. Great, great landing. Good job. And a smile on her face, and there should be.
Well, let's check out those Nebraska Cornhuskers again on uneven bars, and this is Desiree Snitinsky.
And unfortunately for Desiree last year, this was the only event she competed, but the good part was is she took home the championship on this event, and you're going to see why. Very nice swing. And she has the big dismount too, also a double layout. Comes down to the landing. Very nice job. Small step on the landing, but everything I'm seeing from Nebraska so far is demonstrating why they are a dominant force in Big 12 gymnastics.
So high fives all around for the Huskers. And back to floor exercise now. And here's another Oklahoma Sooner who is in competition for an all-around title. Kiara Redmond, the junior from Los Angeles, California.
And you might want to raise the scoreboard that's over the floor, because this kid has got some power, and she has got a huge mount to start out this floor routine. And she's another one too that goes out there and just doesn't do gymnastics, she performs, she shows it off. Big double layout, done as good as anybody in the country. Amazing.
She was the top finisher for Oklahoma at last year's NCAA meet in the all-around competition. Terrific athlete, too. She was on the swimming and diving team at Fullerton College before transferring to Oklahoma, and she never had been on a swimming and diving team before. She just wanted to give it a shot.
Really,
also was on the soccer team there.
Really quite amazing, and from what I've heard, she wants to open a surf shop when she retires from gymnastics. Quite the athlete.
Her favorite athletes are pro surfer Michelle Ballard and the soccer star David Beckham.
When I talked to KJ about Kiara earlier this week, you know, we initially started talking about Brittany and being the defending champion and being a favorite in the all-around, but she was quick to say, watch out for Kiara. She is going to be a dark horse in the all-around. She's really come on strong late in the season, too. Same dismount we saw from Brittany, and actually done a little bit cleaner in the air. This routine is going to be a huge, huge score for the Sooners.
And she does it with a lot of confidence, too.
She's got some panache. She loves the competition. She has a kind of a competitive edge to her. She kind of relishes that pressure and that opportunity to go perform.
And here's a great example of it.
Nice leap series. That's a requirement on floor. You don't just have to tumble. You got to show that dance as well. Having a little fun. Having a little fun with the crowd right there.
And that gets your teammates excited, too. Especially early on in the competition, as here in the first rotation, the Oklahoma Sooners doing it on floor exercise. And Iowa State, meanwhile, on balance beam, and Janet Anson, she is one that the Cyclones are really going to be counting upon throughout this Big 12 meet. She needs to get off to a big start here on balance beam.
And she has truly been automatic, to quote her coach, Jay Renane, this year. She just goes up and knocks routine out after routine out, and they need a big one from her right now. A couple mistakes from Iowa State earlier in this rotation, and they need a huge score from Janet.
Let's hear what Janet has to say about the coaching change and the difference this year compared to last year.
We have a lot of fun this year. I personally think it's been more fun. I had fun with her, but it's just a different atmosphere. We have, more fun as a team outside of practice, and it just makes it easier to, want to go to practice every day and work as hard as you can.
Janet Anson out of Kansas City, Missouri.
So far, a beautiful routine. We saw a beautiful layout step out from her moments ago. Nice lead combination. And she has really been a model leader for the Cyclones this year. She actually has had a lot of nagging injuries that have plagued her throughout the year, but has managed to continue to compete and continue to train like nothing's wrong. Truly the veteran you need to have on a team.
Especially on a team that's going through a coaching change and also lost Erin Detloff and Laura K. Powell from last year.
That was an awesome routine. Most difficult dismount you'll likely see tonight, a 2.5 twist, and she just nails the landing.
9.875 for Janet Anson, getting the Cyclones started here in the first rotation. The Missouri Tigers in rotation 1 on vault, Amanda Pizzullo.
Very nice. Yurchenko layout with a half twist. Great landing. A difficult landing to do, too, and she did it quite well.
Next up, this is Whitney Crater, the senior.
And she does a big Yurchenko with a full twist. Fairly large step on that landing. A beautiful vault in the air.
A lot of very vocal Missouri fans right alongside the vaulting area here. They got the home court advantage. Adrian Perry now.
And their star knocking out a big vault, putting an exclamation point on Mizzou's first event, the vault.
The Big 12 championships continue from here in Columbia, Missouri, with rotation 2 in a moment. To the 2007 Big 12 Gymnastics Championships here at the Hearn Center. And it's time for the second rotation. This time Oklahoma will go to vault. Missouri will be on uneven bars. On balance beam is Nebraska, while the Cyclones of Iowa State move over to the floor exercise. We start off on balance beam right here. Catherine Howard out of Huntsville, Texas, a Nebraska Cornhusker, just a freshman.
And Nebraska came out of the blocks very quick on bars. They had a great bar team, and now it's their opportunity to build on it. The ever dangerous balance beam, and a freshman first up can put some confidence in this Cornhusker team with a great routine.
A lot of pressure on the freshman and Catherine Howard. Now, she was the Texas State balance beam champion a year ago, but this is different. This is at the collegiate level.
Beautiful acro series, flip-flop, layout, step out. Done as well as it can be done. It was interesting talking to Dan Kenyon before the meet, said that they don't have a team captain and don't really believe in it. They believe that each person should have the opportunity to be a leader, and he doesn't want to have to put that pressure on one individual to always be out there to say the right thing and do the right thing. When the opportunity arises, he wants every individual to be able to stand up and take the lead if necessary. And right now, we're seeing a freshman, Catherine Howard, do just that.
There you go, Catherine Howard.
That was an unbelievable start for Nebraska. It does not get any better than that. Take another look at this dismount. Look at her form. Absolutely impeccable. Beautiful amplitude, feet glued together. And again, I cannot overemphasize the importance of sticking those landings. Catherine Howard out of the blocks for Nebraska on beam. Outstanding job.
Dan Kendig awfully proud of the freshman from Huntsville, Texas. We go from a freshman for Nebraska to Alicia Gilmore, a senior for the Missouri Tigers.
And Missouri did a good job on vault, and that's really the event, if they had to choose, that their coach Rob Drass wanted to start on the vault. You can just let it fly, don't have to hold back. Nerves are not as big of an issue, but he knows that these next two events, the uneven bars and the balance beam, is where this meet is going to be won or lost for Missouri.
What a great story Alicia Gilmore is as she walked on here on the program at Missouri from St. Charles, Missouri. Now she's a senior performing in her last Big 12 meet.
Beautiful Tkachev reverse hex release. We saw that from a couple of the other athletes. She has a very nice dismount. Huge double layout. Couple small steps on that landing. That was a great routine. Missouri continues to roll.
Another look, Alicia Gilmore.
Double layout. Beautifully done. You can see she had a couple small steps there. That should be a 2/10 reduction on that landing, but overall a good routine.
Well, fans here in Columbia are anxious to see what this lady can do tonight. Adrian Perry. She's on uneven bars.
She is their star without a doubt. She is their leader. And if Missouri's going to do well, they are counting on her big time.
It's a Missouri team that's ranked number 18 in the country, a 13-7 record coming into the Big 12 meet. And Adrian Perry has 26 event titles this year.
And you can see why. She's very assertive, very dynamic. An Arabian double front dismount, one of the more difficult dismounts on bars, a very difficult landing, but you would not know it by the way she stuck that dismount. Great job for Adrian Perry, keeping it rolling for Missouri.
And there you see the score for Adrian Perry, 9-8-5. We're in the second rotation here at the Big 12 meet in Columbia. Back to the Hearn Center, Columbia, Missouri. Bill Jones, John Roethlisberger, and on the floor exercise here in this second rotation, Jasmine Thompson, the Iowa State Cyclone, with a career high of 9-9 on floor.
And you talk about performers, nobody in this competition is going to perform more on the floor than this kid. She goes out there and just has a blast and works the crowd as well as tumbles good. Nice full twisting layout front to pike front.
You know, they list her at 5'5". She looks taller than that out there on the floor exercise.
She does. She's certainly one of the tallest gymnasts competing, but it's deceptive when she's standing next to somebody who's 4'11" or 5 foot. It can be deceptive, but she is tall. She's got great lines, though. Adds a lot to her style. Talking to her coaching staff before the meet, they said she's got a huge following back in Ames. A lot of the young gymnasts have really gotten behind her and her teammate Katie Sweeten just because of their floor routines and how much they're fun to watch and how much they really get into it and perform for the crowd. Fairly simple dismount, handspring front with a 1.5 twist. Nice job for Jasmine. You can tell she's having a good time.
Yeah, she's having fun as she does it. It makes it fun for her teammates, too. You can tell as there are high fives all around for the Cyclones.
Yep. Take another look at this dismount. Handspring front with a 1.5 twist. A relatively easy dismount, but done very clean. If you're going to do something simple, you better do it well, because if you make a mistake on a simple skill, the judges are going to nail you.
So Jasmine Thompson gets the Cyclones going on the floor exercise. Now the Missouri Tigers have been on uneven bars, and Alicia Hatcher here in round 2 from Blue Springs, Missouri, the 5'8" sophomore.
And she has a unique routine. She's got very beautiful lines, good style. She has a different release move. It's called the Korkina, named after a very successful, famous Russian gymnast, Svetlana Korkina, and we'll see it in a moment. Coming up right here at the beginning of the routine. She does a blind change. There it is. Very unique release move. Unfortunately for Alicia, she was injured earlier this season, hurt her ankle, so she's not competing in the all-around anymore. And ironically enough, I stopped by the Missouri gym a couple months ago, and I just happened to be there on the day that Alicia hurt her ankle. It was really disappointing to see, but good to see her back out on bars. Very good routine, double layout, not quite done as high as her teammate Alicia Gilmore, but she had a good landing, only a small hop.
Coming off her first event title against Pittsburgh here in the uneven bars, and trying to come up big again.
Here's another look at the release move. That's a blind change right before it. She throws her body over the bar with a half turn. Finishes kind of like the release moves we saw before, those reverse hacks. Done extremely well.
Let's go back to the floor exercise now. And here's a 4'11" freshman from Overland Park, Kansas. John, you talked about her on floor exercise a moment ago, and she's a lot like Jasmine Thompson. Let's check out Katie Sweeten.
Again, she's a show-off. She loves it. She performs for the crowd. And tumble's huge. Nice double pike. This is a big combination pass right here. Watch this. 2.5 twist, punch front. Perfect. Again, a very, very young lineup for Iowa State on this event. and they're not ranked very high, only ranked 23rd in the nation on this event, mostly because of those troubles they've had early in the season. It could be a little bit deceptive. They could put up a big score here. Nice leap combination. Also a requirement on the floor exercise. Should be a 2-leap series. Beautiful front fold to lay out front.
Look at her teammates urging her on there in the background.
Great job from the freshman. Pressure was on and she came through.
Katie Sweeten, the freshman.
Let's take another look at this incredibly difficult combination pass. She's going to do 2.5 twists. Somewhat of a blind landing. She's coming around forward. Can't see the floor when her feet hit it, but she punches a beautiful tuck front out of it. Great job from Katie.
Let's go check out the balance beam now, and this is Emily Parsons.
And she is a star on this event.
Yeah, number 3 in the nation in this event is Emily Parsons.
And also the defending Big 12 champion on this event, and she is going to need to put up a huge score. They had a fall earlier, as we talked about, and they've also had 2 other athletes go up and have wobbles. And in a competition this tight, a wobble is really a major break. You cannot have any mistakes. So they have opened the door slightly, but if anybody can slam it shut, it's Emily Parsons.
In fact, her freshman year as well, she was the Big 12 champ on the balance beam, so she's a 2-time defending champion here, and was a first-team All-American last year, balance beam, among other events. Boy, what a career she has had, and she's not near done with it at Nebraska, just a junior.
No, she's not. Quite an amazing career, and she's a Missouri native. I'm sure she's got a lot of hometown fans here. Went to Jim Porter's Gymnastics in St. Louis. Very prominent gymnastics club. It's your dismount. A front with a 1.5 twist, perfect routine. Exactly what the doctor ordered for the Nebraska Cornhuskers.
Comfort level is very high now for Emily Parsons. Now back to the floor exercise, and this is Janet Anson.
And she is the real deal in this automatic. Going to start with a big mount, full twisting, double back. Beautiful.
She's got some ups.
Yes, she does. You know, we talked about Katie and Jasmine, how they perform, and, you know, Janet's no slouch. She likes to show off a little bit, too. Beautiful 2.5 twist punch front. Tell you what, Emily Parsons has looked great on the first couple events, but Janet is not going to let her go quietly into the night. She is going to be right there neck and neck after this event.
Another thing about Janet Anson, she was named to the 2007 Big 12 Good Works team, which recognizes athletes and their community service. You name it, she's done it in the community, delivering Thanksgiving food, presents, Adopt an Angel program at Christmas time here in the Ames community.
Perfect dismount. Whip half to front 1.5 twist. That's going to be a big, big score for Iowa State. After a rough start on balance beam, they came back strong on floor exercise.
Janet Anson came in ranked 6th in the nation in floor exercise.
Take another look at this whip half, punch front 1.5 twist. Again, anytime you see an athlete do 2 flipping skills consecutively like that, it's incredibly difficult. Here it is again, blind landing. Right into the 1.5 twist, perfect.
In rotation 2, the Oklahoma Sooners are on the vault, and this is Lori Wynn, John.
Beautiful Yurchenko full twist, and she has been a consistent vaulter for OU this year and got in only after one of her teammates was injured, so very good job from Lori.
A 9.8 score for her. Ashley Jackson, the sophomore.
And she's going to do the same vault Lori did. Very similar result. Almost a perfect landing.
And the same score as Lori Wynn, a 9.8. Kiara Redmond.
And she's usually a huge vaulter, and you can see why. Big step on that landing, but amazing height and amplitude. You will not see a bigger vault done tonight than the one Kiara just did right there.
unless Haley D. Prospero can come through here.
She also does the Yurchenko with a full twist. Very good vault, but an outstanding landing.
We've got more from the Big 12 Championships in Columbia. The third rotation when we come back. And the 2007 Big 12 Gymnastics Championships continue from here at the Hearn Center in Columbia, Missouri. Bill Jones along with John Roethlisberger as we are about at the halfway point of tonight's meet. And those Nebraska Cornhuskers looking pretty good right now, but really Oklahoma hanging in there, and the Missouri Tigers may be the surprise of the first half of the night.
Yeah, you know, it's not too big of a surprise to see Nebraska come out of the gate quick. First two events, they look fantastic. A little bit of a surprise to see Missouri still hanging in there. You know, they're within striking distance, but the interesting part is Nebraska's got two very high-scoring events coming up. Missouri, unfortunately, along with Oklahoma, still have to do the ever-daunting balance beam. So Nebraska's in a good spot, but hey, the meet is not over. Anyone can win it still.
Let's take a look at those overall team standings at the halfway point through two rotations as Nebraska leads. Oklahoma's in second, Missouri third, and Iowa State in fourth. And Nebraska does close with the floor exercise and the vault, which are typically high-scoring events for them.
They are really in control of their own destiny at this point. And interestingly enough, Iowa State out of it at this point. After two events, they're already a point behind. Had a tough start on that balance beam, as we saw, so they're not going to be in the mix. But Nebraska in a good spot.
And this is a Big 12 champion in wrestling, Ben Askren. He's not only a Big 12 champion, he's a two-time national champion in wrestling. They had the wrestling meet here about a month ago, and then he went on to win a national championship up in Auburn Hills. This is Stephanie Lopiccolo of Oklahoma in the uneven bars.
A native of Australia coming over, doing a great job. Great start for Oklahoma right out of the gate. So is this a good time to bring up the fact that Minnesota, my alma mater, won the NCAA championship?
It's as good a chance as any.
Here's another look at the dismount. Fairly simple dismount, a double tuck, but she did it perfectly in the air, small step on the landing. Good start for Stephanie and the Oklahoma Sooners. First up, and she is actually one of the co-champions on this event from last year, so it's pretty tough having a Big 12 champ be your first girl up on the event.
Well, the Huskers have moved over to the floor exercise, and Desiree Snitinsky with a career high of 9.875 earlier.
And she is a lot of fun to watch on this event, too.
You know, Dan Kendig we had a chance to talk to him before the meet, and when you look at this Nebraska lineup, it's little wonder that he has so much confidence coming into this meet because of the depth that they have in their lineup. Let's hear what Dan has to say about that.
Overall, this year's team, it could be one of the strongest we've had ever. And I say that in the sense that we've always had maybe a great one or two, 3 and 4 here, and 5 or 6 routines are maybe a little weaker that we're starting with. But I really feel the quality of our routines from number 1 to number 6 is very strong, and I think that's what helps us.
And what helps is the fact, as you mentioned earlier, John, now they've got Snitinsky able to compete in all the events this year.
Yeah, that's huge. That depth is so valuable. You don't want to have to go into a meet and have certain routines that absolutely have to hit. Some teams, Missouri, to be honest with you, they need Adrian Perry to put up those big scores, and if she doesn't, it's really going to hurt that team total. But Nebraska, they've got a lot of girls that can go big, and this is one of them, Desiree. Here's another look at that double pike. A little bit big step on the end there. That'll probably be about a 1/10 deduction, but still, that routine's going to score well.
Back to Missouri now on the balance beam. This is Amanda Pizzullo.
And they're just hanging in there. Amanda with a nice acro series right there. They're hanging around, and they're just waiting for their opportunity. Coach Rob Dress said exactly that coming into this meet. He said, we're going to go out, we're going to hit our routines, and we're going to wait for our opportunity to jump up in the standings, wait for OU, wait for Nebraska to have a little mistake, have a little hiccup, and we're going to be ready to jump in and take our opportunity at our first Big 12 title.
The other thing about Rob Drass's Missouri team, they've got 6 first-team academic all-conference members on this team, and this one leads the pack. Amanda Pizzullo is now a 3-time first-team academic all-Big 12 selection.
They have to go to class, Bill?
Apparently at Missouri you do.
Very good routine. Nice gainer layout full. The senior keeps it rolling from Missouri.
Doing a great job, Amanda Pizzullo.
Another look at this dismount. This is a very common dismount for the athletes competing tonight. It fulfills that requirement of having a C dismount, and it's generally one that's easy to land and hopefully stick.
And the hometown fans here in Columbia like to see that as well from their Lady Tigers. We continue with the 3rd rotation here at the Big 12 meet in a moment on FSN. 2007 Big 12 Gymnastics Championships continue here in Columbia, Missouri, and the Oklahoma Sooners are on uneven bars here in the 3rd rotation, and Kiara Redmond is next up.
And you're going to see that power too. She just doesn't have power on floor. She's got some explosiveness on this event as well. And watch right here. Big pike front catch. We saw that straddled from some of the athletes earlier in the competition. And she also has a huge double layout dismount. She's going to have to stick the landing. Beautiful. Small step, but overall a great routine from Kiara. Now, we talked about her being a dark horse in the all-around, and after 2 events, she is sitting in 4th place, but only 1/10 behind Emily Parsons, who is in 1st. So every 10th, like that small foot movement right there, is going to count. She's in the mix.
And then there's a Missouri Tiger trying to stay in the mix in the all-around competition. On balance beam right now is Adrian Perry.
And she would love to match that career high of 9.925 right here. Beautiful aerial walkover. She made that look so easy, but it really isn't. It's a blind landing. That foot hits the beam while your eyes are still facing towards the ceiling. Incredibly difficult. Beautiful leap combination. Great amplitude. Adrian, after 2 rotations, sitting in a tie for 2nd place. Would love to surprise some of those favorites and walk out of here with the all-around title as well as the first team title for the Missouri Tigers. Beautiful 2-footed layout.
Will it be an advantage for her that she finishes on floor exercise?
I think it will. You know, floor is an event that you don't see a lot of falls, unlike the balance beam where it's so easy to fall. I think she's going to have a lot of confidence at that point and really be able to knock out a routine. Beautiful. That is going to be right around a 9.9. Great job from Adrian. Missouri's going to love that one.
She was the Big 12 newcomer of the year as a freshman last year. No sophomore jinx here.
That's the front full. Not a very difficult dismount, but generally a difficult one to stick, but she showed it right there. Good landing.
Just to like what's happening for her through 3 rotations, and now Nebraska on floor exercise. And another illustration of the depth on this team. Kylie Stone ranks right behind Emily Parsons as far as an all-around competitor.
And again, she really is kind of a dark horse to win the all-around title. She's a few tenths behind the leader at this point. But one of the things that's plagued her in the past has been landings. And Coach Kending said if she can control landings like this one right there, she is going to be in the mix. Beautiful double layout. And as I mentioned before, she is a very accomplished international competitor. She competed for Canada in the 2003 World Championships, and at that competition placed the highest any Canadian has ever placed in history in the all-around. So quite an accomplishment for Kylie. Beautiful front through to double tuck.
She ranks number 13 in the nation in the floor exercise.
Again, we saw her just do a front through to double tuck. That's a requirement, too, for the athletes to do a pass that has 2 acro elements in it. Got a fairly difficult dismount. It's a double pike. Beautiful. You can see she's got some power, and even on those landings, you can see where she has a tendency to have a little bit of a stiff leg when she lands, and that can be a problem, especially with those springs that are underneath that floor, but she handles that quite well. Take a look. Look at the form in the air. Toes are pointed. A little bit of a bounce backwards, but she handles it. Great job for Kylie. That'll keep her in the mix in the all-around.
And it keeps Nebraska and Coach Dan Kindig in the mix in the team competition as well. The Huskers are liking things. We continue in a moment. The 2007 Big 12 Gymnastics Championships continue here at the Hearn Center in Columbia, Missouri. Bill Jones along with John Roethlisberger and Brittany Konchak-Schumann on the uneven bars.
And this is a great routine, a very unique routine. Watch this skill right here. It's called the Shaposhnikova. I'm going to ask you to spell that later, Bill. Named after a very famous Russian gymnast. Little foot brake there on that full over. Cranking up for her dismount. Beautiful double layout. A little quick to take that step and that turn on the landing.
I was going to ask, do they take
quick.
off for that? Or?
They should. They should take a 10th. You really need to show control on those landings. He was a little quick to make that turn. And sometimes an athlete will do that to kind of try to cover up the fact that they're about to take a step. The veteran pulling out all the tricks.
We'll see if the judges take off for that. All right, Missouri on the balance beam, and this is Nikki Bowman. Yet another athlete who has come off an injury in her career. A couple of years ago, she had ankle surgery.
And again, Missouri hanging around. They've done well.
And she's trying to hang around.
Right as I say that, she has a major break. Unfortunately, that's not much better than just falling off the equipment. A huge wobble like that, the judges are going to absolutely kill you. The good news is they've had a lot of good routines before her. The bad news is the last routine up is supposed to be the biggest score in the rotation, and that's not going to be the case for Nikki.
Just the way they set their lineup, they usually have the top one going last. A potential big score.
Yep, you want those scores to build. It'll be very interesting to see where Missouri sits after this rotation, if they could possibly steal something on their last event, the floor exercise, which they're generally very good at. Pretty solid since that wobble. Again, there's that familiar dismount. Layout gainer full. Good routine. And there's Lauren Schwartzman giving her the double high five.
Oh, another look here.
Another look at that dismount. Little foot movement. Quick salute the judge. No one will notice. Good routine. Outside of that wobble, it was a good routine.
Iowa State in the third rotation on the vault. We start with the senior Katie Lasher.
Beautiful Yurchenko with a half twist, also called a Phelps, named after Olympic gold medalist J.C. Phelps. Beautifully done.
And a 9-8 score for the senior. How about a freshman from Salt Lake City, Megan Barnes?
Megan just getting back into the lineup on vault, coming into this competition. Ooh. Again, beautiful. Same vault that we saw from Katie. Done even better.
8.25 for Megan Barnes, and here's their all-around competitor, Janet Anson.
And she does the most difficult vault being done in this competition. Yurchenko with a 1.5 twist. Small hop on the landing, but that obviously scored well.
The Nebraska Cornhuskers looking for a big performance out of Emily Parsons.
And this is one of those events that Emily really shines on. And you can see why. Wow. Huge double layout. And she has great poise. You know, she just is always in control, never seems to get rattled. Only a junior. We get to watch her again for another year. Very difficult combination. A front with a double twist to a pike front. Earlier this year, Emily set a new Nebraska record for individual titles when she's won her 79th individual title, and she surpassed one of the great, probably the greatest Nebraska gymnast of all time, Rochelle Simpson. And in talking to Emily, Rochelle was very supportive of her and always has been kind of a mentor to Emily, so she's got a good relationship with the past great. Beautiful double pike.
And it's amazing she's only a junior. Imagine how many she's going to win.
Great routine.
She has 29 event titles this year, and Emily Parsons looking for more tonight, perhaps in the floor exercise.
That might just be her 30th right there. That was a tremendous routine. I'll be hard to believe that someone's going to do a better one than that. Take another look at this dismount. Beautiful double pike, just like Kylie. Feet together, toes pointed in the air. Great landing.
Two-time first-team All-American in the floor exercise. We've got the fourth rotation. Can Dan Kindick's team hold on? Welcome back to the 2007 Big 12 Gymnastics Championships here at the Hearn Center in Columbia. And as far as the all-around competition, through 3 rotations now, John Roethlisberger.
A lot of familiar names. We don't see Brittany Konchak-Schumann up there, but we see 3 of them that we knew would be up there. Emily, Janet, Adrian, and they're all going to very good events for them to finish on. It is going to be very tight. It's going to come down to those little things like the landings.
And through 3 rotations in the team standings now, Nebraska with the edge over Oklahoma, with Missouri in 3rd, and Iowa State is in 4th. It's going right down to the wire here in the final rotation. Nebraska's on vault, Iowa State on bars, Oklahoma's on balance beam, and Missouri, the floor exercise. Now, first-year Oklahoma coach K.J. Kindler likes the prospects of her team finishing on the balance beam.
I've told the team you're ranked number 3 in the country. You've obviously been very consistent on balance beam. You've ended on balance beam most of your season because of all our road meets. So tonight it's going to be, very important for us to go in with that same mentality. This is a road meet and we're ending on beam, and that's just the way it is. Every team in the country knows what that feels like because they all do it when they're on the road.
And Kiara Redmond, yes, this team is ranked number 3 in the nation on balance beam, and they need a number 3 in the nation type performance on balance beam tonight with Redmond starting it off.
Yes, they do, and this kid is tough. Beautiful acro series right there. And I love listening to coaches talk about where they finish a meet or where they start a meet. They will work anything into their favor. It doesn't matter what it is.
Are you saying if they finished on bars that
she would find another reason why that's the best place to finish? But she's right. They do have a lot of experience ending on this event, which in this situation can be a huge asset. They went to Nebraska earlier this year. It came down to this event and the last routine. They won that meet by .025, and that can only help them when they get into this situation.
And another point that K.J. Kindler makes is the fact that Oklahoma only had 4 home meets this year. They spent a lot of time on the road, so they're accustomed to this.
Beautiful double back dismount. And KJ is pumped. She's got the fist pump going, Bill. That's a good sign for Oklahoma.
For her personally, she's trying to win back-to-back Big 12 crowns. She did it at Iowa State last year.
There's that dismount again. Very, very difficult dismount.
The Missouri Tigers are finishing on the floor exercise, and what a career Whitney Crater has had here for the Tigers out of Little Rock, Arkansas. And an incredible story here from an injury standpoint, because it was a year ago this coming week that Whitney Crater suffered a torn Achilles tendon, and here she is competing a year later in the Big 12 Championships. In fact, she was able to start competing right at the beginning of the gymnastics season, just about 9 months after she suffered the injury.
And what if situation for her. Come on.
Whitney Crater back in 2005 finished 5th in the Big 12 meet in the floor exercise.
What a situation for her to be
Crater has been a leader on this Missouri team here in her senior season as well.
And what a situation for her to be in, too. The last event at the Big 12 Championships, her team is in striking distance of their first team title. Not a better place to be.
Crater back in high school was part of a dance team that performed all over the place in Arkansas and beyond. She was a co-captain of the cheerleader squad as well. Was in various scholarship beauty pageants.
Unfortunate error on that landing. And just to give you a brief synopsis, you know, they're close to Nebraska, but they have to be perfect. Nebraska's finishing on vault, and that's usually a very good event to be on. Not a lot of mistakes that take place on vault. So Missouri really needs to knock it out of the park, and unfortunately mistakes like this one right here, she's a little short in this double back, could be the final nail in the coffin for Missouri in their hopes of getting that top spot.
So a disappointed Missouri team.
You can tell in the looks on their faces that their opportunity may have slipped away.
Well, this is Holly Weiss. Holly Weiss for Oklahoma on the balance beam. You will not find a more accomplished gymnast coming into college than Holly Weiss.
You will not. She is a former world champion. She won the uneven bars world title in 2003 in Anaheim at the World Championships, and unfortunately narrowly missed making the 2004 Olympic team. And after that happened, she was incredibly disappointed. She was a little bit disenchanted with the sport of gymnastics, retired for 2 years before she came back to compete for the Oklahoma Sooners. She was actually signed by former coach Steve Nuno, but only came onto the team this fall. And she has been quite a project for KJ Kindler because she hadn't done gymnastics for a couple years and really had to get back in shape, had to learn some very basic gymnastics again, some very simple gymnastics. I talked to Lou Ball, the assistant coach from Oklahoma, and he said he was spotting her on kips on the uneven bars when she first came back, and now here she is competing again at the Big 12 Championships and may also compete at the uneven bars at the National Championships later this year. Quite a story.
Yeah, she's a world champion in 2003, just 4 years ago. Started competing and training at the World Olympic Gymnastics Academy down in the Dallas area at the age of 11, Holly Weiss.
And that was a great routine, and she's really known for her style and her flexibility up there, and she really showed it off. Great job. Great to see Holly back in gymnastics.
All right, Oklahoma and KJ Kindler trying to catch the Nebraska Cornhuskers, and they, of course, are led by Emily Parsons, trying to put the nail in the coffin for the Nebraska Cornhuskers here at the Big 12 meet in Columbia, Missouri, as the final rotation continues on FSN.
Hi, I'm Emily Parsons. The all-around title still up for grabs. More after this.
The 07 Gymnastics Championships, Big 12 style, continue here in Columbia, Missouri. And this is the freshman for the Oklahoma Sooners on the balance beam, Kristen Smith.
And Oklahoma not out of it, but going to have to be perfect because they do have some ground to make up. A half a point, actually a little more than that, is a lot of ground to make up in one event. And they may need some help from the Nebraska Cornhuskers if they hope to do that. So far, though, very, very good performance on balance beam, showing exactly what KJ talked about, this poise, this focus as they come into the most difficult event, the balance beam, in the last rotation.
Not surprising that it might come down to an Oklahoma-Nebraska duel for the Big 12 title. In fact, when they met earlier this season, Oklahoma won over Nebraska, but the Huskers came in ranked number 7 in the nation and the Sooners number 10 in the country.
And that's something that is tough to do, to go into Nebraska and win. Very few teams have done it. And ironically enough, KJ did it last year with Iowa State, and she did it again this year with Oklahoma. Wow, she almost missed her foot on that dismount. A little scary, but managed to stay on her feet.
Kristen Smith, a freshman from Putnam City High School in Oklahoma City. The 2006 Shannon Miller Award winner in Oklahoma.
Another look at this dismount. You can see her left foot right off the beam, and that is actually a one-footed dismount. Quite honestly, it's amazing she even made that. I've seen girls do that before, and the results are usually not pretty.
All right, here's the Oklahoma Sooners with Haley DiProspero next up on the balance beam.
She needs to beat that personal record of 9.9 right here.
And she knows that too, I think.
They need every 10th. You know, we talk about landings all the time, and I know people get tired of hearing, oh, here it comes down to the landing. It comes down to sticking that landing. But put it this way. They have 6 landings on 6 dismounts on each event. And if your athletes take a step on each one of those landings, that's 6/10 on each event times 4 events. Those add up very quickly. Right now, we're talking about a difference of 6 or 7/10 between the top spot and second or third. So those landings are very, very critical. Beautiful series right there. One arm, back handspring to a layout step out. Beautiful leap right there. Tour jeté with a half turn. Very difficult. Nice full turn. Also a requirement on the balance beam that the athlete does a 360-degree turn.
DiProspero ranked in the top 10 in the country on the balance beam.
And the ever-familiar gainer with a full twist. Perfect landing. Nice job from Haley. KJ's got to be pleased with that routine.
Well, DiProspero gets some high fives from her teammates on the Oklahoma sideline. And let's take another look at Haley here.
There's the dismount again. Spots the landing. Perfect. Now, Oklahoma, you know, they might not be able to close that gap on Nebraska, but they also got to be looking over their shoulder at Missouri, because they were in a virtual tie after the third event. And you know what? They would much rather go home in second than third. And here's Missouri at home. They would love to go home with that second spot. So they're holding on to something else here besides that top spot.
Final rotation continues in a moment as KJ Kindler will turn to another Texan, Brittany Konchak-Schumann.
Hi, my name is Brittany Konchak-Schumann, and I'm the reigning Big 12 all-around champion. I'm here to defend my title. More after this.
Final performances of the night here in Columbia, Missouri. Bill Jones along with John Roethlisberger, and it comes down to this for the Oklahoma Sooners on the balance beam. KJ Kindler leaves it to Brittany Konchak-Schumann.
And Brittany really is going to have to put up a big score here, not just for the team, but also for that individual hopes. She had a little bit of a low score on vault that kind of put her in a little bit of a hole. And when you're talking half a tenth or tenths of a point, it makes a huge difference. She needs to go huge if she has any hope of regaining that Big 12 individual all-around title.
Of the 4 events, for Brittany Konchak-Schumann, she ranks highest in the nation in the balance beam, number 7 in the nation.
And you can see why. She performs balance beam with authority. She exerts herself on the beam. She doesn't wait for things to happen. She puts herself where she wants to be. She's aggressive. A lot of girls aren't, and I can understand why. It's only 4 inches wide, and it's tough to be aggressive when you don't have a lot of surface, and unfortunately, big mistake for Brittany. She will not repeat as the Big 12 all-around champion. Very disappointing for her.
Konchak-Schumann has had a stellar career that got off to a difficult start when she suffered a torn anterior cruciate ligament back in 2004. She was able to bounce back to be an all-around champion last year, and now she's closing out her Big 12 career tonight.
That's too bad. You know, that's not the way you want to close out your Big 12 career, but she has got a lot to be proud of, and she's not done. OU's got regionals coming up and then NCAA championships after that, so she'll go back, regroup, and trust me, she is going to end on a good note. much better than this one right here as we take another look at this mistake. Front tuck, incredibly difficult. Those feet contact the beam before you even spot the beam with your eyes. So an incredibly difficult trick. Unfortunately, just a little bit off, too much to handle.
Well, you can tell how that can happen. You just get a little off balance, and on a 4-inch wide beam, that's what's going to happen.
And she is an amazing person. You know, 24 individual titles this year, virtually a 4.0 GPA, first president of the Student Athlete Advisory Council, you name it. She's done it. She wants to be a doctor someday. Heck, she's got a lot to be proud of.
All right, the Iowa State Cyclones are proud of Janet Anson, and she closes it out here on uneven bars for the Cyclones, a career high of 9.9.
And she's got to knock it out of the park. She was a half a tenth behind Emily Parsons coming into this event, and she narrowly missed the all-around title last year, and she needs to be perfect if she wants to bring it home this year. So far, she is. Great routine, perfect form, nice straddle back to handstand. This is what separates the great athletes. Under pressure, can they come through? Will she be the Big 12 all-around champion? Oh, is it going to be close, Bill? She could not do a routine better than that. Not possible.
How's that for coming through under pressure for the senior from Kansas City?
Take a look at this dismount, a double front. Again, an extremely difficult landing, but she makes it look elementary. An incredible meet for Janet. Great way to close out her Big 12 career. Now, Emily Parsons finishing up on vault, which is a great event for her, and we'll see in a few moments how that played out for Emily.
Okay, everybody trying to keep pace with the Nebraska Cornhuskers, who finish on vault in the final rotation. Michelle Zabawa.
And all they got to do is stay on their feet. Great vault from Michelle. Yurchenko laid out with a full twist. Great position in the air. Small hop on the landing, but they don't need to be perfect. They just need to hit.
She had a 9.85, and now here's Stephanie Carter.
She's going to do the same vault. And almost a carbon copy of the one before.
And that leaves the last couple. How about Kylie Stone, the sophomore from Calgary, Alberta?
And this could be the clincher. Another huge Yurchenko laid out with a full twist. That same small hop, but the scores are building, and that is going to be too much for anyone to catch.
You can tell the Huskers sense it, and they'll leave it in the very capable hands of Emily Parsons, who had a perfect 10 on a vault earlier this year.
A 9.85 will clinch the all-around, and that will do it for Emily Parsons. An amazing double, the team and the all-around title.
A 9.95 for Emily Parsons on the vault. The final event of the night. A Missouri Tiger, Adrian Perry, on the floor exercise.
And this is someone who has a couple years left in her collegiate career, and it's going to be a bright future for her. She also is in the hunt in this all-around title, 1/10 behind Emily Parsons, but that's a big 1/10 of a point, and she needs to be perfect. Great start, beautiful double pike. This kid is so mentally tough. Like some of the others that we've seen tonight, when the pressure is on at the conference championship, she just comes through. And she's young, underclassman, only a sophomore.
But these premier gymnasts are so experienced, going back to their days as youths. And Adrian Perry was on the Junior Olympics national team a couple of times. From Columbia, Missouri, went to Blue Springs High School.
So far, a great routine from her. You know, I talked to Rob Drass about her before the competition, and one of the first things out of his mouth was, she's going to win. She's going to win. And obviously, it's a tight competition. It's hard to predict that for sure, but that's how much confidence he has in this girl. And you can see why. Time after time, beautiful routine, perfect double back dismount. Adrian Perry might not walk out of here with the Big 12 crown, but this kid is amazing, and she will be back next year, and she's going to be pushing Emily Parsons every time they step onto the floor. Another look at that double back. Big smile on the face. Nice job.
Rob Drass, her coach, looking on from behind her right there. If she doesn't win this year, she's got a good chance next year or the year after that. A 9.85 for Adrian Perry on the floor exercise. All right, who wins it all at the Big 12 meet? The final results when we come back on FSN. Well, what a great night it's been here at the Big 12 Gymnastics Championships at the University of Missouri, as we are through with the competition, and the final all-around results look this way.
Emily Parsons, again, one of the favorites, showing why she's been so dominant this year, edging out Janet Anson, who unfortunately is again the vice champion in the all-around, second year in a row for that.
And followed by Kiara Redmond, and Adrian Perry of Missouri finishes in fourth. Now, as far as the final team standings, the Nebraska Cornhuskers of Coach Dan Kendig have done it. Nebraska holding off the charge of the Oklahoma Sooners. They do it in style, the Huskers do, with Missouri in third, and the defending champion Iowa State Cyclones wind up in fourth place. Now let's go down to John Roethlisberger with the winning coach. John.
Thanks, Bill. I'm down here with Big 12 all-around champion Emily Parsons. Emily, you've won something like 80 individual titles, but this is your first Big 12 all-around championship. How special is this for you?
It's so special. You know, we worked so hard this week, and at practice yesterday, and we just tried to come in here and focus on our routines, and we knew if we hit that we would come out successful. So it's great today.
Bars really was the difference for you last year in not bringing home this title. What have you done to kind of compensate for that coming into this competition this year?
I think I've just worked a lot harder on bars and worked on my casts and just my form and trying to make it better, and it paid off.
Well, congratulations. Good luck the rest of the season. And here we have the coach of the Big 12 champions. You've won 11 team championships, but recently this competition's become much tighter. It used to be automatic that Nebraska was going to win. Is this one different than the ones in the past?
Well, I don't know about automatic. I tell you what, I think the biggest thing, and it's what's really exciting, is the Big 12 Conference from bottom to top has gotten so much stronger. And it makes the award that much more enjoyable and that much more worthwhile. I'll tell you what, the team today really, really worked hard, and they're all special. But right now, that feeling you have and what the team was able to accomplish today is really special.
Now, you mentioned earlier that this might be the best team you've ever had, and I know your career as a coach won't be complete without an NCAA championship. Could this be the year?
We've got some work to do still, and I know that they're going to leave this meet feeling very happy with themselves, but not satisfied. There's some things that we can still do and need to do to make regionals better, and then who knows at nationals. It's one of those things that who hits, and it's all about landings, and it's all about everything there. You've got to be on the money everything that you do.
Thanks very much, Dan. Back to you, Bill.
All right, John, that is 11 conference titles for the Huskers under Dan Kendig, who, by the way, is the coach of the year in the Big 12 and the gymnast of the year. How about co-gymnasts? Janet Anson, Iowa State, Emily Parsons of Nebraska.
The more things change, the more they stay the same. Nebraska back on top and really exerting their dominance on the Big 12 and making it look easy.
Congratulations to the Nebraska Cornhuskers, champions of the Big 12 Conference again.